right. So, what's up, everybody? This is Francisco, joined by my good buddies Andrew and Charles once more for Sports Goofs number 135. So, there's actual sports happening. We're going to talk about it.
Want more?
What?
Andrew sounds far away.
Yeah, he sounds really far away.
No. That was the last episode. I don't think we're live on Twitch yet.
That Charles said he was.
Because I see it. Yeah,
we're on Twitter. So
yeah,
we're on something.
135.
We're on something at least. So we might just have to reload the page. Yeah, but regardless, we're on. Once again, more snafus for being a live show. But hey, that's the way we like it. That's the way we do it. You know, it's fun that way. I've enjoyed it that way. And we're, of course, presented by Mr. Tortilla. Get yourself some of those 1-carb, 15-calorie tortillas, everybody. Yeah, Charles had himself some tortilla-based products today, didn't you, Charles?
I did not. Because...
Oh, no! I didn't... I'm looking at the freaking group chat now, and you chose something else.
Yeah, I was contemplating it, but what happened was I was in my town by like 5:15. It's about 10-15 minutes out my way to get the tortillas and the burrito, and then it started raining, and this is a truck, so you're on the outside. So I decided to go to our fast food gods at Wendy's for my dinner, and I do not regret it at all. Same thing too. Got the same meal as last time, the honey hot chicken, and
nice,
very enjoyable.
What I did enjoy was Andrew once more trying to broaden his horizons by asking all the right questions with regards to Mexican delicacies, if you will. So, Andrew, you had some questions about the authenticity of where Charles was going. Charles, you had a choice between Wendy's and a taco truck, right?
Yes.
So, by the way, where's this taco truck? Like, where is it located? Like, is it like outside your office building? Is it it's parked out there?
Well, it's like 10-15 minutes from my house.
Oh, okay.
Further away from my office. It's just it's one of those taco trucks where it's in conjunction on a how do I want to say this? It's just in conjunction. You know how there's like a Quickie Mart or a Mexican shop? That's where it is. Like they're in cohesion together, in collaboration. And that's where I think they get their tortillas and some of their meat qualities. And it's just absolutely fabulous. I haven't had it in such a long time. I was craving it. And then Andrew had asked me if, they're better than like Moe's or the other establishments. And absolutely. So anyone out there, I would tell you, get the truck burritos or tacos, because there's something about not being able to wash your hands that adds the extra enhancing flavor. But jokingly aside, it's better quality. I don't know, either meat or better quality grill that they use, gas, propane, whatever you want to call it, but it tastes a lot better. It's good, man. There's so many in Miami as well that it's unfair, so there might be more bad duplicates, but at least for my local area, that's where it is. And I like Moe's. We're not attacking Moe's. We've non-sponsored that before, so there is definitely no attacking there, but it is as authentic can be, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, as much as you can get out of a food truck, but hey, man, food truck food is good. I'm telling you that. Food truck. I need to go to a food truck thing. I really need to go to another food truck like event or something like that. Just one of those. I gotta look online and see what local city or plaza or what have you is having a food truck event, because that's always fun. You get that variety of a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And
mine's the taco truck. That's what I call it, or it's like the red taco truck in Martin County, just to give some formality to the name.
Okay. All right. So yeah, but and we discussed anything that's become a chain has already lost its, I guess, authenticity to the original
it's sold
stuff.
Out.
Yeah. It's I don't want. It's of course it did sell out. You got to Americanize
it's not really
itself.
Selling out because it's impossible to maintain that amount of quality when you've upsized so much. Like, I'm sure McDonald's used to be a lot better back when it was just in whatever state it was in. I think
California. Yeah, remember Ray Kroc stole McDonald's from the actual McDonald's brothers, and that's why the Padres are forever cursed as a franchise. So
it's fair to say that franchise establishments are going to be mid at best, which is fine. Mid means it's edible.
yeah, and I think to Andrew's point as well, you're a franchise, so you can only deviate so much because you have to make a one size fits all thing for every single part of where you're selling your stuff. And then look, we've heard the stories of international places might having better quality basically because they have laws that say, hey, you can't sell cardboard to people and call it food like we do here. So there's that, but for the most part, it's like it's a one size fits all. Here's what we got. You make the food. This is the assembly line. Make it as is. Don't deviate from that. And only now has McDonald's and other establishments are kind of getting into, hey, you want to learn some life hacks with our food? Try this secret menu, which is basically like, from what I've heard, is do-it-yourself type of things, where it's like, okay, if you buy one of this and you buy these two, which I think is a way to upsell you more stuff than you need. He's like, oh, do you want this type of burger? Well, if you buy a number 1 and a number 2 and you just change these ingredients together, and you'll get this. Which, it's all a ploy. It's all a ploy just to sell you more stuff than what you need. And then you have extra stuff that you don't even want to eat on the side. So it's like you're wasting food at the same time, and you've paid double, which is not good.
Or you could just take it home.
I've been thinking about this for quite a while.
We can tell. McDonald's is never going to sponsor us now, and that's okay. We accept that.
I know. It's fine. But, yeah, that's kind of been on my brain lately with regards to our food goofs topics here. But we got sports. Baseball is back, everybody. So the players are back at spring training. Things, wheeling and dealing is happening right now at a very pretty fast pace. There's a few notable free agents that haven't signed and thus haven't traveled to Florida or Arizona for spring training just yet. We'll see. Marlins fans are pissed off because it seems like we're not doing anything. Even though our owner is saying...
Just trade for a guy?
Who? I don't know who we traded for.
Oh, we got from the Reds?
But it sure wasn't Nick Castellanos. It's what every Marlins fan, who everyone Marlins fan wants to get. He's from Davie, Florida, so he's from down here. But I don't know. Some fans that know a little more analytics are like, well, his hitting metrics don't really play well to a pitcher-friendly ballpark, which is kind of the thing that kind of screws the Marlins up. It's like they play in such a massive ballpark, which is massive for no reason other than to be massive, that it's really going to scare a lot of hitters away. Like, why go there and screw up your numbers when you can just go to Philly or New York? Yeah, even New York's size down
are very player friendly.
Yeah, go to Philly or New York or even Atlanta, which is like a fair ballpark, and get your numbers up over there, rather than come to Miami and just get absolutely decimated by the massive outfield. I mean, we're lucky Giancarlo Stanton hit 59 home runs in a single season. He probably would have hit 60 plus if he played in a smaller ballpark that season in 2017. But yeah, it's going to be hard to entice hitters to come to Miami until the day that they finally decide to bring the fences in more than what they've already done. And it's going to cost some money to do that, but I'd rather do a complete remodeling of the outfield and the outfield locations than... I mean, nobody goes to the ballpark anyway, so we can just kind of... we could just kind of make the outfield construction only, though nobody can go in because they're working on it, and just open up a couple sections in the upper deck. We don't sell those anyways, so might as well just make up for it that way. Just random thoughts for me, because Marlins fans are just kind of lost hope. You know, the false prophet came in and left us high and dry. So false prophet Derek Jeter, overrated shortstop, and yeah, you know, one of the worst defensive shortstops of all time.
I want to get your guys' opinion on something. So a lot of people, or some people, were saying that the reason why he left was because he did not like the way he didn't like how the owners were doing business during the lockout, and that he kind of still has that player in him.
I mean, I don't know. I'm going to go with the idea that he was there for almost 4 years, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is he just got sick of management, and that's understandable. That they're really not a team built to win. That those first 2 years of farm selling everything and the promises of getting free agents and realizing free agents don't want to come to you make the job a lot more difficult because your ownership has actually put this big wall despite the fact of laying down the path of what you could be doing. Because remember, he was just a human meat shield anyway, to quote Dan Le Batard. And you only get 1 year of success. And part of the reason why of success that happens is one, you were a COVID playoff team, as was everybody that season, to be honest. But the vision and the expectations can't work when you can't contend, when you don't have ownership who's either going to put the right pieces. And for anything in sports, and I was thinking about this because NFL free agency also opened up along with MLB, the trades are kicking in, is the concept that you need the star player. You don't necessarily need a star player to be a very well-built team. What you need is complementary pieces to what you're missing. And what's happening from me being a pseudo Marlins savant, being friends with Francisco for so long, especially doing the shows, what I realized is that you might have a guy, you have stellar pitching, but you can never seem to put the complementary pitchers or players to help out every step of the way. What was the issue with your starting pitcher? I forgot his name. Big old guy, maybe 26, 27. Sandy Alcantara? Is that him?
Well, our ace is Sandy Alcantara, yeah.
Oh, Alcantara. So Alcantara's doing good.
Yeah, we gave him an extension, so he's
going
he's
7-8 innings, and then there's just no hitting support, or
the
relief pitching is just trash. And I think Jeter was just kind of like, hey, I came from a system where we at least try to get the guys, try to get the complementary pitchers. We knew in the 2009 season, I think he holds dear to 2009. I'm not trying to be a Yankee fan holding on to the past, but what was 2009? We were supposed to be dead in the water, and we get the ace pitcher in CC. We get a somewhat ace hitter in Teixeira and fielding, and then we get the complementary guy in AJ Burnett. And I think that's what he wanted to lead to his regime. And after 4 years of management, you're like, I'm just sick of the owner. I don't think he was sick of the city. I don't know if he wants to say it was bad faith in the GMs, because it's not like Jeter is new to this. He was an MLB player for 20 plus years, so he knows that owners only care about owners. But I think maybe it's a little bit what you were hinting at, Andrew, but the other process is that maybe Miami's just not worth it. And in fact, the only person who's cared about it being worth it in Miami has been Don Mattingly, and that's it.
Yeah. It's some dire straits, but let me keep going with some of the deals that's going on, and then we could talk about the actual changes that are going to be coming to the game following the actual agreement between the owners and the players. So Andrelton Simmons signed with the Cubs. So that's one guy gone down. Zach McAllister he's on a minor league deal with the Cardinals. The Pirates agreed to terms with Daniel Vogelbach, Heath Hembree. The Braves signed Matt Olson to an 8-year contract.
Oof. Traded for Matt Olson and signed him.
Yeah, they traded him, and then they signed him to an 8-year contract. So Freddie Freeman is gone. It's done. It's the end of an era for the Braves. He goes out with a ring, and it's looking like he's just gonna sign with the Dodgers, because I think he's from California, right? So people are assuming that's where he's gonna go, unless the Marlins do something weird and just throw him all the money. Have like what was it? Who's Eric Hosmer type of situation? It's like, we got our first baseman. He's got a ring, like the Padres have done, and try and do something like that. But the Marlins, gosh, man. Okay, let's keep going. What else is it? Jake Marisnick signed with the Rangers. Adam Ottavino signed with the Mets. Who else is here? The Yankees traded away some dudes. So we got to talk about this, Charles.
You're too funny, Charles.
All right, Charles. Do you miss him? Do you miss Gary Sanchez already?
I am so happy Gary Sanchez is gone. Like, literally, we went through 2 seasons of Gary Sanchez hate.
Yeah.
And it was 2 seasons of Giancarlo Stanton support. I was for one GS and against another GS. I was like, oh, Gary's gone. We're not going to pay. We're like, oh, we love him. He's the baby Bronx Bomber. It's fantastic. I'm like, the man had no fielding skills at all. Not one, but 2 of our star pitchers throughout the years have said, we don't want this guy to be our catcher. So when Garrett Cole was pitching, it's Kyle Hishigoga. When it was CC Sabathia before he retired, it was Kyle Hishigoga or whoever else that we had on there. Gary Sanchez is just a catcher by position, but not by heart. What he is a future DH. But the problem was, guy just hits like 197. So he'll hit them dingers, but boy howdy, is he unreliable to the bat. I like Kyle Hishigoga. He's kind of like Jorge Posada, super light, and when I mean light, like beta testing, because he just can't really. He can field decently and get the pitching where it needs to be for the most part, but cannot for the life of him just hit them. Them even getting on base all the time, to my knowledge. But Gary is gone, but there's always a sacrifice play, right? Something has to hurt with a breakup, and the breakup wasn't between Gary Sanchez. That was just easy. That's like, having that toxic ex, and you don't have to have her friends or his friends with you anymore, the siblings or the parents. We got rid of Gio Urshela. I'm not too crazy about that. I really like Gio Urshela as a third baseman. Some side notes, what he did was he replaced Miguel Andujar like 2 years ago, was consistent. Gleyber Torres' his best friend essentially on the team. Good third baseman. Average around the batting and the fielding, but you know what? Not everybody could be perfect, and you're competent at play. And then we trade all that in for 2 Rangers players. The one of them, I can't pronounce his name, Capella. I'm so sorry. One day I will learn how to actually say names, but to this day, people can't say my last name. So I don't feel bad, but I'm just bringing up the name eventually. Well, let me get it there because we know who I'm going to mention. But we got catcher Ben Rortvedt. Don't know enough about him. I didn't follow the Twins really last year. I said they were going to be a fraud team, and when I'm right, I'll go for Isaiah Kinner-Falefa. I was kind of right as an infielder, and then Josh Donaldson.
Yeah, this is the other one.
Why? So I'm trading one bad future player for someone who has really just kind of ran his shelf life. One who dare call out Garrett Cole and then got embarrassed by Garrett Cole every step of the way. And now they're teammates, which is fine. If you want to have a Scotty and Michael in the NBA, here it is. Because if this gives me, or MLB, but if this gives me all the championships I want, I'll take it. I just don't see. There's 2 things I draw from this. I'm really just going to, because I can go on forever. 2 things that it tells me is that we're playing for next year's infield. Because the 2 guys that we got with Rortvedt and then Falefa, because I don't think Gleyber Torres is going to be staying around. Remember, we had him as a hybrid of shortstop and second base. Luke Voigt's still around unless we catch the whale that is Freddie Freeman, which makes me very excited about it. And then Josh Donaldson's remaining 2 years on the contract. So really it's just going to be 1 year because that contract will get moved out, I think, in a year if he is not hitting the home run stuff. But it tells me that we're going to be kind of trying to figure out what the reshaping was, that we didn't want to do Gio Urshela when he came up to arbitration because why? We still have to pay big people. And that tells me the other thing. We're going to pay some big people. How, when, why, we don't know because we got the lockout, but we still have Aaron Judge's big-ass contract coming into play. There's rumors about Trevor Story. Freddie Freeman's still at play. There's another big, gigantic splash. So it's kind of like, hey, who we lose here with Gary and Gio isn't really going to be indicative of what we think the season's going to be. It's about building the foundation because what do we know about every free agent player that the Yankees sign, guys? Minus the last 2 years. It's never for like that 2 years, let's try it out thing. It's a 5, 6, 7er. And if we get that Freddie Freeman, which I really hope we do, that's that 4-year. If we get the Trevor Story, who's like 28, 29, that's a 7-year. We're building to the future, and we're looking already to spend because Josh Donaldson did not have a cheap contract. The problem is Josh Donaldson is kind of an ass, and I know what, I can feel Andrew's spite, just like, our Yankees are asses, ha ha ha. But Josh Donaldson's not like the kind of ass that I want. That's nasty ass that hasn't bathed after it crapped itself. Because we're on the hook for this year at 21 mil, next year 21 mil, and the following year at 6 million. So I would imagine that we're going to really just run the gambit with him for this year. It's not like he cannot hit, but he's not Josh Donaldson of the Toronto Blue Jays anymore. I think he's just being asked to be the veteran presence, which is weird because we forget how young that team is, because it is very young. And it's kind of hoping that and this is my other prediction, the third tier of why I think we got Josh Donaldson. You know who really sucked ass last year? Joey Gallo.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a shuffling of bets, I would think.
He's happy the shift's dying. So
yeah, well, it's just, but we're not getting. I don't think we're getting sexy tree trunks Anthony Rizzo back, which saddens me. Mm-hmm. But we might if we're going to strike out Luke Voigt. But then there's also been rumors about Rizzo going back to Chicago. But that's how I feel about this trade. It's a little bit of tap to the future. I think this season's going to be the mulligan.
He's from here down east too, so
yeah, it's going to be the mulligan, and it's this. Oh, you miss Gary Sanchez? Well, don't worry. You're going to have Josh Donaldson making you hate your life, and Joey Gallo. It's like Keenan and Kel Hatred Edition. Who loves strikeouts? Kel loves strikeouts.
All right. Andrew, have the Rays made any sort of significant moves as of late?
I don't think they have, from what I've seen.
No. I think the Braves signed a player away from them, but
not really since this
pre-lockout
started.
Yeah.
I mean, we picked up Corey Kluber before
the lockout.
Yeah. Have my sloppy seconds. It's okay.
But in terms of post lockout, no. We kind of stood pat.
Well, I mean, you locked up your star young player, so that's basically what you guys have done. I mean, it's par for the course of the Rays until they figure out something with their ballpark situation. All right, so there's that. Those are our teams, and we'll see if some of the big stuff drops anytime soon. Freeman, Carlos Correa still out there, guys.
I don't want any of that.
Yeah, if you don't, if the Yankees announced them, what would that'd be a fun episode.
I want Story more than Correa.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
like I'm not trying to hate on Correa because he gave. Yeah, it's just like how Altuve gave us the middle finger post Can season. Correa's going to do the same thing too. It's just pay Aaron Judge, man. Get it done. That's really the focal point for it, because I was speaking about this to my paralegal earlier because he's a Braves fan, so he was very distraught he was accepting Matt Olson in that sense. But Freddie, the thing about Freddie is he was your face of the franchise. He sells tickets. He sells merchandise. Ronald Acuna doesn't do it. I don't know any of the other players, and the only other thing was Marcell Ozuna, who's now face of a prison cell and a jail inmate. So there you go. He's the one that got arrested for the DV, I think.
Yep.
So as a franchise like the Yankees, we have face of the franchises for every generation. Jeter, and then we need something to kind of usher in. And I'm just speaking to my generation I'm growing into. I know I can go back all of those 70 years of all the other players, Mantle, and all that stuff, but we'll belabor the time of our greatest success. We could build an all-star team of our players that we have a ring of honor. Anywho, but you need that as a face of franchise. So I'm like Garrett Cole ain't the face of franchise. Garrett Cole is supposed to be like a missing component and a piece component. Same thing with Gio. Or Giancarlo, not Gio, and a lot of these other guys. But Judge is our dude. He's 29, 30. Okay, you're going to have to eat that 8-year deal. Eat it, right? Get it done, because I don't know what this lockout brought really to players' rights, except for future players leading up into arbitration and everything. But with the present guys that you have now, get it done.
All right, so let's talk about some CBA stuff. So we've got the minimum salary is going to rise now. So every year it's going to rise a couple $20,000 every year. So right now the minimum $700,000. By 2026 it'll be $780,000. So those guys are gonna get paid a lot more down at the lower levels of the baseball threshold. The tax threshold, competitive balance tax threshold, the luxury tax, whatever you want to call it. So teams that go above this amount with regards to their payrolls will be hit with the tax. So it's $230 million this year. By 2026 it'll be $244 million. So surpass that and boom. Pre-arbitration bonus pool. So this is a new thing where it's aimed to reward the top young players in the game. Pools are drawn from the Central Revenue Fund to pay the top players who are not yet eligible for arbitration. Arbitration determines upcoming salaries of players who are not yet eligible for free agency and could not agree on a contract in time. So the bonus pool slated for the next 5 years is $50 million. The pool will count $1.66 million per team for payroll purposes, and the MLB and MLBPA will collaborate to fairly allocate these funds. And then we've got some changes to the gameplay. Most notable is that we finally have universal DH. So that's great for the National League. But old fuddy-duddy original goof Doug, he's not a fan. He wants pitchers to bat in the National League still. We're going to have to give him a stern talking to.
I'm going to say this right now, and I'll keep it to one sentence. Anybody who still wants pitchers as designated hitters, find their cousins attractive. Just saying. Out with the old school, keeping it pure in the bloodline. Let's just venture out, baby. Let's Christopher Columbus this ish right now.
So there's that. Other rule is that we're not going to be doing the whole guy on second base to start extra innings thing anymore.
Thank God.
And there we go. Yeah. So it was a weird experiment, and it just I don't really feel like it saved that much time, to be honest. It made things kind of frustrating, with some teams kind of winning games so easily and handily.
Yep.
Which I get that was the point of it, to try and get games to end early, but it might have been a bit unfair, especially for like the home teams. So there's that. So regular extra innings now. So they'll last 4,000 innings if they have to. That's this season. Those are the new rules starting this season. Next season, 2023. So we're finally getting a pitch clock. So pitchers are gonna have to pitch the ball very quickly, within a time limit now, which is great.
Here's the thing that bothers me about that.
Okay.
There's already a pitch clock on the rules.
Yep.
Enforce that. Jesus.
I guess.
Why add the rule?
So Andrew, explain it while you're ranting about it right now.
I mean, I don't know how to explain it even less than that. There's already a pitch clock on the rules. You have to. It's not an actual physical clock, but the umpire has the discretion to tell the pitcher to pitch, or he's going to call it a ball automatically. Kind of like how a batter has to be in the batter's box, and if he's not, it can be an automatic strike if the pitcher throws.
So these are
already there in the rules, and it's not some like Rule 5.6.7 subsection G shit. It's pretty well known. So why, if anything, just amend the rule so that you have a specific time laid out instead of just adding a new rule. Just enforce the rule.
Okay. So, I guess stronger version of this? I'm not sure, but okay.
What's the time frame that's doing for the pitch clock again?
That's what I'm trying to search while Andrew was talking. I was trying to find the time limit. Pitch clock rule, but I'm not finding the thing right away. Well, if somebody can look in the background, let me move on to the next thing. So no more defensive shifts.
Yeah.
So this all it ends. So players are gonna have to stay on certain sides of the field and not have to do something ridiculous where the entire infield is on the right or left side of the field for extreme pull hitters, which is going to revive certain careers of certain hitters like Joey Gallo. So maybe he'll finally do something for the Yanks. And
he's still going to strike out. Guy had a high.
That's true. That is true. So that's the other rule. An automatic ball/strike zone will exist. What does that mean? What the hell does that mean?
He's calling it.
Robo-umps.
Ah, okay. So we're finally letting our robot overlords take over, finally. And then we'll have larger bases. So
I am a huge fan of this.
We talked about this last show before Andrew was popped off there, but But yeah, we talked about this last show. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I liked some of the memes that came out of it. I don't know if I showed you guys the one with Ricky Henderson when he stole his when he broke Lou Brock's record. Yeah, that was really funny. So there's that, and then. And I guess with these new rules in 2023, a committee of 4 active players and 6 members appointed by the MLB and 1 umpire will be responsible for these rules. So I guess they'll oversee how things are going and maybe make some tweaks and stuff along the way. So there's that. It kind of feels like with like the NHL, when they had like the GM meetings, and they usually make some minor tweaks to the game every once in a while, especially when they introduce replay in the NHL Coaches Challenge. And they had to make some tweaks mid-season along the way to kind of make it less, I don't know, weird or arbitrary or less, especially with like the offside stuff. Now I'm rambling, so let's move on. Playoffs. So now we have 12-team playoffs.
This is why sports don't matter anymore. This is why it doesn't matter, because not only does everybody get to play into it, you're probably going to get some damn good games in the very first couple of rounds, and then you're like, I don't need to watch the World Series. I don't need to watch the ALCS or the NLCS. We felt that in football, and we'll feel it in baseball if they do the reseeding like everybody wants to do.
Well, here's how they're going to be doing it. So 12-team format, 6 playoff teams per league, 3 division winners, and 3 wildcard teams. So they will be seeded as follow. You'll have the 1 seed, so the team with the best record in the NL and the AL. The 2 seed, they have the second best record among the division winners, and the 3 seed, who will be the third best division winner record. And then you'll have the wildcards 4 through 6, and it's the 3 best records among the non-division winners in order of record. And the top 2 seeds will get a bye to the divisional round, so like the NFL. How will the 2022 playoffs format differ from previous years? So there will be 1 extra playoff team per league competing in the playoffs. Additionally, there will not be any tiebreaker games to determine playoff teams during the 2022 season. So the wild card round, the number 3 seed will host the number 6 seed in a 3-game series, and then number 4 will take on number 5 in a 3-game series. Then those winners will move on to face the divisional round, where the top seeds from the NL and the AL will be sitting there waiting. The number 1 seed hosts the winner of the 4-5 series, and number 2 will face off against the 3-6 series winner. So that's how it's going to go. So it's basically NFL.
Have they basically gotten rid of divisions, though? It sounds like it. If you're telling me 1, 2, and 3 is just going to be based off of, you said the best record or the best record in each division? I missed that part.
So 1 through 3 are the best division winners. So the East Central and the East Central and West, but the number 1 team in the AL and the NL, they get a bye week to the first round. Like, it's basically NFL format. Okay. Yeah, that's what it is. It's the NFL format. So it's the same as the NFL.
Was it 30 teams in baseball without them expanding to Canada again?
30 teams right now, and we'll see. You know, they're probably going to expand to 32 at some point. It's only natural. It's looking that way. Nashville's making a big push, and Montreal is looming in some sort of way, shape, or form.
I don't hate the addition, because Andrew and I are in a division where it would create the necessity, but then you get the fraudulent stuff like you had like in the NL West last year. Like the AL East, I could tell you.
Yankees, NL West, the Giants were
Tampa,
the Giants. It was the.
I'm talking about the Padres as fraudulent. Because that's the thing. We are in a division with those 4 teams. Like Toronto's coming up. Tampa could come up if they don't give the fire sale. Yankees are the weird transition, and I don't know with Boston. In of itself, because I just can't. I hate them. So there you go. I hate Alex Cora so much. But that makes sense to have all those fine quality teams getting a chance. And then on the NL side, it's like, okay, but what are we doing this in chain reaction? Whereas the Central was trash, the NL East was trash, and really feels like it's a safety net to justify the biggest money that was spent, which was at the NL West.
So let's take a look at
all those teams.
Just to kind of contextualize this a little bit more. So going by last season's records, how would the playoffs have ended up in this format? So in the American League, the Rays were the number one team. They would have had the bye. And then you had the White Sox and the Astros as the two division winners. Okay.
Trash.
So those were the two division winners, and then the wild card teams would have been the Red Sox, the Yankees,
Trash.
and this would have been fun and at least a nice story. The Seattle Mariners.
Yeah, okay. I can get behind it. Still don't understand the run differential. How you could be that good.
So the Mariners would have
offensively.
So the Mariners would have faced the Astros. Or would it have been the Astros? Yeah. Right. The Mariners they would have the 6th seed, and then the 4-5 seed. Oh no! It's the two division winners have to go, right? So it would have been the White Sox versus the Mariners, and then the Yankees would have faced the Red Sox. Either way. So that would have been that. And the NL would have been the Giants would have been number 1, and then the Brewers would have been the number 2 seed. The Dodgers at 106 wins would be facing off against the Man, the NL was not great. I'm realizing last year.
That's my point.
Yeah, they would have faced off against the Phillies, who had 82 victories last year. And then it would have been like the Cardinals
a lot of money
versus
was spent.
the Braves. Yeah. So that's what it would have been. But hey, it gives a team like, I don't know, the Marlins a possible chance to at least make the playoffs. And guys, we all know what this is for. It's to sell tickets.
Yeah.
It's to sell playoff tickets. It's to make us care about the season for a lot of us fringe franchises when September comes. Because if you're like, I don't know how many more. If you're like, 60-60 going into September, you're going to be like, well, at least we have a chance. We just need to win half of our games and we might have a shot at the playoffs to end the season. So
what you're balking at is hoping that you can change baseball playoffs for ratings into March Madness. And I'm not trying to tie it in to be cute with today's relevant times of sports, because March Madness is going to begin shortly in a day or so. It's the idea that people will watch, the casual viewers are going to watch on TBS, they're going to watch on Fox, are going to watch, those other teams because maybe they believe in the underdog, or maybe it brings in the fan base, or maybe people want to know because what do we do? Fantasy everything. So sure, but that's the only way I see the appeasements besides what we already talked about.
It really has, and really it's going to be it's going to be a real test as to the parity in baseball. Because, like the NBA is probably the best example of when you have a 1 seed versus an 8 seed, and you sure as hell know that 8 seed is not going to be doing much of anything. Okay, you only get it's only like once in like every 30 years that you get an 8 seed that somehow upsets a 1 seed. So you've got that. So can MLB be something more like NFL, where hey, sometimes you get a hot wild card team that can knock off a division winner in the first round, and maybe even knock off a number 1 seed in the divisional round, or even in the NHL, where an 8 seed can win the Stanley Cup. We've seen it happen already within the last decade, so it's entirely possible. So we'll see how strong baseball's parity is, but it's going to be really hard to justify some stuff with that when a team with 79 victories somehow gets that 6th seed and is facing off a team that won 95 games.
But you know who's loving this kind of stuff, though? GMs who think like Billy Beane does over in Oakland, where they're basically saying, if I'm always going to get to playoffs, the need for having a star player is absolutely dead. So I can go back and trade away the Matt Olsons and everybody else that they have and always be perennially contented because of mediocre. Because what do we know about playoffs for any sport? Nothing means anything of the record and run differentials and scores and all that stuff once you get to the playoffs and postseason, because you're all starting up at the zero. And that's when the injuries accumulate that they can really get to you, or when you're hot, you stay hot, right? If you subscribe to that theory of entertainment in your sports.
It's just, And it really is based on perspective. Like certain franchises, I mean, you're a fan of the Yankees, and you expect them to make the playoffs every season, for the most part.
Well, not with a certain manager still there, but yes.
Yeah. So you've got that. You got me, who the Marlins made the playoffs only once in the last 17 years. So this only gives them a day, man. They might be able to. They might go on a run, guys, and get to 79 victories, and that might be just enough in the National League to get that 6th seed. And who knows after that? So there's always that possibility for my team. So it does have some excitement, but I don't want that false excitement where it feels like an NBA team that.
Are the wild card games still going to be a one-off, or they change it to best of 3?
I don't think there's a wild card game anymore.
Oh,
that's fine.
No, you said because they're going to do the buys and then
it's going by the records now. Okay. So the wild card game.
So are we doing 3s or are we doing 5s?
So
we're keeping it to 5s.
All right. So let me explain.
Because I think you can make the argument now that they have a bye, no more of best of 5s, you go best of 3s. But I don't know if that was an inclination because what we're doing pitchers' health. And also not to skip out the rotations.
All right, so let me see again. So, 12-team format. Number 1 seed is the best overall record. Number 2 seed, second best record among division winners, and then the third is the last division winner. And the first round will be the wild card round, which is just think the 2020 playoffs, how that happened. So number 3 seed, so the third best division winner, will face off against the number 6 seed. The 4 seed, so the best wild card team, will host the 5th seed, so the second best wild card team. So that's the first round. And then BU's chiming in here.
BU says wild card is best of 3. Also, like a reseeding is dumb. Agree to both.
Yeah, that's gonna be strange because you could potentially have an awesome wild card team that probably has, like last season, the Dodgers had 105 had 105 victories, and you're getting what should be the National League Championship Series in the second round instead, which kind of, I mean, could you imagine because already it's a great series between the Dodgers and the Giants, just having them in a division series, but that's a 5-game series. Imagine if they had gone a 7-game series. That would have been insane. So you want that more than anything else. You don't want to blow your load on the divisional round when you can just have that in the championship series. So, so there's, and then you've got the other teams like the Rays, who somehow make it work.
But they're on the downslide, though.
Well, we'll see.
Series, ALCS.
Once again, they're much like the A's. They're a team that ebbs and flows, so they'll have 3, maybe 4 years of being down, and then their scouts will churn out some gold, and they'll win the division again and be on another World Series run. Unless they get a ballpark, in which case maybe they'll actually spend some money. That could be a thing too.
Just put the team up for sale, Andrew.
If Andrew could, he would. If he could, he would.
Hey, you know me. If I could somehow convince Sternberg to sell it to Jeff Finnick, holy crap, I would do that. I would sell my kidney for him to do that.
Andrew, he's a fellow Jew. I'm sure you could find a way to get a meeting with him. Come on now.
So they, in response to that, they never did establish salary floor and ceiling, huh? I mean, I think the idea of pulling up the pool of monies creates the idea of spending, but there was no mandate to it. So that because Oakland and Baltimore are going to find a way to remain being cheap.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the raising of the minimum salary and I guess the arbitration pool, the pre-arbitration pool, are I guess were the compromises that the Players Association and the owners made to not have a salary floor, which is what the NHL has. NHL has a salary floor. So they avoided talking about that issue or having that issue set in stone for now, at least.
I don't know if it settles the biggest issue that happened going to the lockout, though. Star players get the $300 million contracts. The current young guys are going to get X amount of money, but does it solve the in-between, middle-of-the-line veterans? I don't think it did from what I was keeping up with it, the articles I read, everything of that nature.
Holy crap, Jason Worth was on the Blue Jays? Wow, I did not know that.
A couple players in order to forget right there.
Yeah. I didn't realize he played for the Blue Jays. I just thought he played for the Phillies and Nationals. Wow, okay.
I think that was his very beginning team for like the first 3 years of his career.
Yeah.
Unless that's just a franchise. I will check up Jason Worth as verify my
that was
opinion.
it just popped up on the screen in the background here. So that's very surprising to me. So, I mean, for me, it just makes me, at least maybe I'll be excited for September baseball. I have no idea. The Marlins have a great rotation, but they can't develop.
He was with
any.
the Blue Jays for 1 year, for 2002, 2003, and then put to the Dodgers 2004, 2005.
He was on the Dodgers too. Wow, damn.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So, and you know, Charles, you mentioned $100 million player, and I just want to get to Gottlieb's Goons right here, guys, because I got to mention somebody. It's Fernando Tatis Jr. The cover athlete for MLB 21 The Show.
And all the young men in sports in the future for the next 13 years in baseball.
Yeah. And you know, the premier bat flipper in baseball.
The guy who was supposed to bring baseball to be fun again.
Breaking the unwritten rules that the Texas Rangers hate so much. But he's going to need some wrist surgery. Because he's going to miss up to 3 months. 3 months for the San Diego Padres.
He is an idiot.
Yeah, this man is out here riding motorcycles during the lockout. And he suffered an injury. And I think and it was weird in the lockout when players trying to nurse their injuries, because I don't know if there was a certain rule set for how, like how much access they could have to team doctors and things like that. I don't know what.
I don't think they could have any.
Yeah, I didn't get any sort of definitive answer if there was some sort of like at least compromise to seeing some, or maybe if they were like private contractor doctors, maybe they could see them and they're not actual team doctors. I have no idea. But regardless, Tatis Jr. got injured during a motorcycle accident of some sort during the offseason, and it's affected his wrist, and he can't play right now. So he's
a motorcycle accident. He fractured it, I think, and he didn't go to get proper medical care to begin with, correct? He just assumed everything was good?
Yeah, I think so, but I think he was trying to figure that out, and it's untenable. He can't catch and field and swing a bat with a messed up wrist. It's impossible. So he'll be out, which is telling for the Padres, because the Padres were the most disappointing team in baseball last season. They were the Padres. They were the most fraudulent team in baseball. Let's see. So Bob Nightingale, who was weirdly enough the real MVP of the MLB lockout. The surprise redemption story of former Gottlieb Goon, who, because I say former Gottlieb Goon because I feel like when you, and I'm gonna make him a real MVP for what he did with his coverage during the lockout. When you have one of each, you negate it and you just break even. So
to zero.
Yeah, he's a normal human being now. So Bob Nightingale, of all people, brought bagels to people. He was feeding the people, feeding the fans, waiting for a decision out in Jupiter, up till like 3 a.m. reporting on it. I mean, my goodness gracious. So yeah, Bob Nightingale, real MVP. But the Padres, I think there was like a video of a bunch of Padres players trying to get on top of a golf cart out in Arizona, and the golf cart almost like flipped over, which is so dumb to think about, because you guys are fueling the memes right now, especially because it's a golf cart. What is the number one insult to teams that don't make the playoffs. They're going to be going golfing by October. So why would you do this? And of course, on a vehicle, and your star player got injured because he was riding a vehicle he probably shouldn't have been riding. Now, I don't believe that the Padres baked into his contract that he can't ride motorcycles, which was a mistake on their part, because I think most high-profile player contracts, especially when they're like $300 million, have clauses saying you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't go skydiving, you can't base jump off of the Grand Canyon. Like, there are reasons for this, guys. But
well, I mean, to be fair to Tatis, we don't know in what fashion he got. It could have just been a standard accident. Guy could have been on a motorcycle and someone, in San Diego just kind of cut him off.
But it's a motorcycle. That's the number one thing. I mean, motorcycles are inherently dangerous. You're a $300 million man. You are the linchpin of the Padres' success. And the Padres have a lot to answer for in 2022. I mean, they were made fools of. Especially by the two teams in their division who owned them historically in California. The Dodgers and the Giants. So,
especially by a certain 32-year-old attorney on a podcast who at the start of the season outright said they were crap. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. So, sorry. I'm just saying, Gottlieb's goons. He's a goon. Fernando Tatis Jr., man, you gotta be smarter than that, my dude. I'm just saying. All right. What else do we have here? I've been trying to mark goons and MVPs during the group chat so we can remember them. Let's see. What else do we have? I'm just trying to go down here. A real MVP to Mike Tyson, because I sent you guys in the group chat. He's got a lot of these athletes, especially in California or Colorado, have been cutting deals with various weed and marijuana companies with their own wraps and flavors and whatnots. So Mike Tyson came out with his own brand of edibles. Let's see, what are they called? They're called Mike Bites, Tyson Mike Bites. And they are in the shape of ears. And it might specifically be Evander Holyfield's ear. They have the exact little bit of chunk that he bit off of Holyfield.
I feel bad for Holyfield because he's literally known for one thing.
I wouldn't say that.
No.
No.
He's known for whipping that Mike Tyson ass.
Yeah.
Causing Mike to bite him.
Yeah, and that wasn't the first fight between them either, so.
Nope.
What was that? Was that fight number 2, right? That was
number 2.
Yeah, Holyfield beat him in the first one. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he couldn't deal with it. And I will do it to learn to go from Evander when the time comes.
All right. I mean, we can. I'm sure he's a Hall of Famer of some sort, right?
The real deal, baby.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, let's talk about Evander Holyfield. We're here. Let's go.
All right. So Evander Holyfield, basically, as Andrew said, for our generation, might be most notable and known for having his ear bitten off.
Everybody knew about that.
Yeah, you don't get your ear bitten off just because the guy you're fighting is a thug. You get your ear bitten off because you're beating the holy hell out of that opponent that he's frustrating so much that he had to take some measures. I remember watching that fight in 1996 on scrambled cable television when I was living in New York. So Wikipedia form of Evander Holyfield, the real deal.
We're gonna have a highlight video in the background of this because
4-time world heavyweight champion, unified the WBA, WBC, IBF titles. Boxing has a lot of championships, a lot of champion committees. It makes it confusing, but World Boxing Association, International Boxing Federation, World Boxing Committee or competitions. Heavyweight, light heavyweight, cruiserweight, which is in the weird in between them. Born in Alabama. He's 59 years old at this time. His boxing record is 57 total fights, 44 wins. 10 losses. I think he tried to box until a very long period of his life. if memory serves me correctly, just how like a lot of other good boxers do. But the first time they met in 1996, I'm just reading. Like I said, this is from Wikipedia because I am not on the spot with my boxing like I used to be. But we go from there, and he took out Tyson then, and then came the ear bite, June 20th, 1997. Went against Lennox Lewis a couple times. Lennox Lewis, you talk about underrated boxer, that guy could go, but he wasn't as flashy and go-y as some of the other predecessors of his peoples of the heavyweight division, everything there. Suspended, came back in 2006, fully out retired. Just amazing to see. Power hitter, can box you, class you out. There's more that Francisco probably go on, but I'm just going from the standard Wikipedia.
Yeah, they're showing his fight versus Mike right now. So the first one
right there. And what I tell people is you can always rewatch wrestling. You can also always rewatch boxing, not just the highlights. But there's some finessing going on. That man can hit you. His son's Elijah Holyfield, a Georgia Bulldog, I believe. And I think he's on the Eagles now, but I'm not fully certain. Mind you, there's a lot I can speak about Evander Holyfield, but y'all should know him, the real deal. We love it from back in the day. Also, just love playing him in Fight Night. God, I can use one of those gifts. Just look at that man. Would you let that man hit you?
No.
Would you let that man hit you? That man frustrated Mike Tyson. Granted, Buster Douglas also clocked out Mike Tyson back in the day, but that's also who Evander beat to kind of get his titles going out of the way when he was starting out. But no, those gloves were red to hide all the blood he spilled. I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Mike Tyson knockouts?
I told you about the. I was just watching videos of Mike Tyson's knock. Yeah, he was. Dear Lord! I mean, there's a reason why he was the final boss in the video game.
It's not the punches that scare me. It's how fast he can move to hit you. Like, it is inhuman. It is inhuman. And then somehow to bring it back, Evander Holyfield messed that man.
Yeah.
What does that say?
Oh man! So this is a good Let's Haul Y'all. This is a nice little. This is a nice little Let's Haul Y'all here. I'm glad we went down this rabbit hole real quick. It was unplanned too. This is great. Watching old heavyweight champions box, just watching their highlights is amazing. So if you just seeing the form, everything.
It's also not the same because you have a new generation of boxing. The heavyweight division's dead, essentially, in my opinion. So if you really want to enjoy modern day boxing, it'll have to be the featherweights or the middleweights, welterweights. I forgot who was the one that we had on here talking about boxing. It wasn't our friend Psycho Bacon. That's how I remember his Twitter handle and his PlayStation Network. But it was another guy that we had on there that was a little bit of a combat sports connoisseur, and he spoke a little bit about it, but the heavyweight thing's been dead for a bit. The Klitschko's effectively ended it for being just so dominating in that division for like 10, 15 years. But if you wanted some high-end knockouts, watch some old fights. Watch them old fights, man. Watch some Lennox Lewis's. Watch some Evander Holyfields. Watch some George Foreman's. Watch some Muhammad Ali's. Watch some Mike Tyson's. It's just damn good stuff. And if you want to watch modern day, boxing, we always like a lot of what's going on in the middleweights and the welterweights, and then we have Canelo Alvarez, who's probably I think listed pound for pound. Him and Triple G are trying to set up. I don't know if I need that fight now. It's been stalled for so long that number 3 doesn't matter, because if Triple G wins, that means like, oh well, then Canelo may not be the best, but Triple G losing would be like, well, they delayed so much meeting them the first time. Of course, him at 40-41 can't do it anymore. I hate this. I want to watch that fight again.
All right, so. Well, I think we can call it here. We're almost at the halfway. Yeah, we're basically at the halfway. So let's do it. So it's a word from our non-sponsors, people, places, things, concepts, what have you, that we have been enjoying over the last week, guys. I do want to preface this before we start. I did take up Charles's non-sponsor from last week. I saw The Batman. I thoroughly enjoyed it, very much so. Man, I think I enjoyed it a little too much, Charles. A little too much.
Goofs, goofing goofs.
Yeah.
We learned from our non-sponsors.
It was beautiful. It's a great movie. Go watch it, folks. Go watch it in some way, shape, or form. But yeah. And be prepared. It's a while, but you know what? It was long, but it didn't feel. I felt like there wasn't like this downtime. Yeah, because I don't know if anybody saw La La Land.
No.
I did. I was not expecting that movie to last 3 hours. That's for sure. because it started like when I thought the movie's like, oh, it should be ending soon, right? No, it wasn't ending anytime soon. Music's fantastic. I like the music, but there was a sequence there. It was like, did we really have to go through that? Do we have to go through a dream sequence, really? It's a musical. I get it, but still. Anyways, who wants to go first? I've been going the last 2 weeks, I think, going first, so. Anybody?
I can go first.
All right.
So, fellas, there's people in this world, they get to have many delicacies. They're getting, beer or whiskey out in Ireland, food in Portugal, living their best life. But for me, sometimes living my best life is trying a food place that I know about that I haven't had in quite some time, like 2 years and change to be sort of it. And then you be pleasantly reminded, like, damn, it's actually pretty good. Damn, we should bring this into the rotation. My mother got for Christmas gift cards to the Outback Steakhouse. She can't go there because she's allergic to a lot of something they make it. So she's like, hey, you want this? I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll take a free lunch, $35. Hell yeah. So I went last Wednesday, and in the words of Crocodile Dundee, crikey, because I forgot how good that was. I remember the last meal I had there 2.5 years ago was the fried chicken, which is very tasty, but that's not what I came into it. So I was like, I had a hankering for some food. And I don't think I've ever had their steak before. I'm a steak kind of guy. How do you take your steak? I do it rare, probably like Crocodile Dundee did. And I was like, all right, we got some, gift cards. We can get some appetizers. Got the bloomin' onions. Whew, delicious. It's so good that you should stop, but you're not going to stop. And then I got their typical sirloin, 6-ounce rare with a vegetable medley and rice. And buddies, I got to tell you, that's a damn good steak. Had a little bit of a crackle to it. I don't know if they use the kind of pepper, but it's sealed in the heat, which there's nothing worse than steak that is rare that does not seal in the heat, because then you just have some rubber shoe soles that you're eating. And one day you boys will join me on rare meat if you have not had it before. I'm not talking about the rare meat diet. I'm just saying rare steak when you go out. But I know it feels funny because we were just literally, speaking to Andrew about commercialization and franchise chains. But there's a reason why they're franchise chains, because there is a modicum of success that came into it. I like their Arnold Palmer that they had. I like the steak. It was very affordable. The total came out to like 40 something. And then with the gift card, it was only like $12. So you tip the waitress the same amount of what's left over. So she got a good tip from there. But that bloomin' onion, that Outback sauce, that I think it's a pepper seasoning on my steak. I'm ready. I'm going to go back to it. And I know what you guys might say, Charles, Outback? What do we know go to Outback for? Well, everything is like deep fried there too. So just hear me out. If you want to aspire to the I'm not here for a long time, just a good time way of logic of food, you got the blooming onions deep fried. You got the shrimp that's deep fried.
I've got the steaks up right now on the video version of the podcast.
The steaks are not deep fried, but I bet they would try. They have baked potatoes in there. They have the shrimp, not the shrimp, the chicken that's really good that they kind of deep fried it with the sauce on there. They got some healthier things. I don't care about healthy to a degree. Like I have Wendy's coming into this. So you think outside's pretty, inside I probably have to go see a doctor. But when it comes to food, I ain't taking my stomach with me when I die. So highly recommend going back to the Outback. And there's certain things in life that you revisit that you say, maybe I should have given this more of an opportunity. So for you people in Portugal, have your meals. For you people in Ireland, have your meals. For you people in Miami, have your meals. But you people in like local places like me, Martin County, that kind of Treasure Coast area, have your Outback. You're in River County, have your Outback, because crikey, it can kind of be affordable and damn good and damn delicious. So that's my non-sponsor promo code. Would it be long? I just say crikey. I'm gonna go crikey again. I'm like crikey. There you go.
Oh, you should have said stingrays.
No, I'm respectful.
All right. Okay.
I guess I'll go second here. It's kind of an odd non-sponsor, but spring cleaning.
Okay, the general concept of spring cleaning.
And let me explain why.
Hey, we people, places, concepts, what have you. Spring cleaning.
Okay,
right.
Sure.
So
it's a philosophical concept.
Why is I was going through some old boxes of mine, just after the bar and everything. I decided to fresh start, clean my room because it got a mess. neglecting certain things while studying for the bar. So I was trying to get some normalcy back. And one of the things I decided to do was to go through, like I said, go through some old boxes, see what I could get rid of. Some of the stuff I found I was surprised it was still there. I was finding homework assignments that I did back in the 3rd grade.
Oh.
Okay, so you're a hoarder. That's exactly where I'm coming from this.
Oh, no.
Yes, sure. But it was cool kind of getting that, flashback, kind of revisiting, old things. I found my high school yearbook somewhere. I don't know. I found the whole thing cool, just being able to kind of revisit my old life, I guess.
What was the you found, I guess, buried memorable sentimental treasures? What was the most impactful one that you found?
Ooh.
Like, what was the one that was like, oh, whoa, I forgot about this, or wow, I haven't seen this in forever. I'm so glad I found this,
A good question.
Here's that Orlando Rays baseball bat Francisco got me.
Well, I have that one in safekeeping.
Yeah.
So
all right. Still can't find any merchandise for them. I'm surprised Lids doesn't have a series of stuff. I don't know. Maybe one day they'll have a minor league series.
Gosh, that's a good one. I have different reasons for why I liked some of it, but I guess if I had to choose one, probably an assignment I did on Harriet Beecher Stowe back in 4th grade. And I know that sounds odd, but was seeing, how much my writing has progressed since then. I know that's kind of stupid, but it's kind of a little link to the past because, all the time I think, man, I've lost that golden touch. I was the smart kid and stuff, and going through law school and stuff really just kind of beats you down.
Yep.
But just to kind of see, yeah, you haven't lost too much of yourself in all of this hell. Seeing the high school yearbook was fun because I got to see myself when I was on the swim team and I was actually in shape. So that gives me a little bit of a motivation to, get on the weight loss thing again to see, hey, I actually looked good at one point in my life. But yeah, that writing assignment I did probably the most memorable for me. Yeah, so spring cleaning, I highly recommend it. If anything, just to see what kind of old treasures you'll find. Promo code Harriet Beecher Stowe.
With the question mark.
Yeah, you don't get anything. Andrew, if you put in the code with the question mark, Andrew will come over and clean your house.
And then read you his thing on Harriet Beecher Stowe.
Yeah. Okay. Well, mine is pretty simple this time, guys, but it's something that I've been enjoying this way too much. But so this confounded diet, I'm teetering 180, 179 now, Charles, and everybody else out there. So I'm fighting it. It's going down. once I actually get.
I mean, you're in progress of the time frame that I made.
Oh yeah, I am. I don't think I'll get to Taco Pass by the end of this month, but if I can find a way, once I finally get settled down with all this work that I'm getting at work, and I get a handle on everything. Even though I got 2 more brief assignments that came in on me today, which is not going to help. Once I finally get a hold of that, I feel like I'll be good to go to finally get a regular exercise regimen once more. Lift again and all those other things. So that should really trim things down, especially because I haven't been doing this without exercising. So there could be a chance that could really just kick things up a huge notch. But my non-sponsor is Sparkling Ice. So Sparkling Ice, flavored sparkling water. I love sparkling waters, guys. I got SodaStream in my room. I got the little spritzy flavor liquid enhancers of all different kinds of flavors in my room as well. But lately I've been pairing, I've been kind of sick of getting plain sparkling water. So I'm like, man, just some of the flavored ones that you see out there, like the Zephyr Hills ones, or even the ones from Perrier, they have flavoring to them, but it's a very mild flavoring. Sometimes it tastes like, when you wash out a Gatorade bottle and you fill it back up with water, and you have that aftertaste that's still on there. It's pretty nasty, right? Sometimes those sparkling waters taste pretty nasty, but not this one. Sparkling Ice. I love what these guys are doing. They sell them at Publix. That's where I'm getting them by the bottle, and they're pretty cheap. They're usually like $1 each. You can get like 5 for $5 if you want to. So they're pretty cheap. Bottled water, sparkling water. They have canned caffeine versions. I'm not all about that. I can't be drinking caffeine. My heart's gonna explode. But I like the let's see, is this classics here? Here you go. The classic flavoring. They got different kinds of flavors. So and I haven't seen all of these at the store, but I've seen most of these. The black cherry. I'm not a massive fan of cherry in general, so I don't really go towards that. Fruit punch is all right. Pomegranate and blueberry is fine. Black raspberry is not bad either. Once again, not trying cherry limeade. I've seen the strawberry watermelon, but I'm not a big fan of watermelon either. Yeah, I'm just saying. Watermelons, I need something a little more sweet than watermelon, guys. Strawberry lemonade, I haven't tried that. I haven't seen it, actually. Kiwi strawberry, it's fine. Kiwi strawberry is not too bad. Grapefruit is a nasty fruit, and I don't know why people eat it. Peach nectarine is probably the second best flavor of this line. Orange mango is probably the third best the flavor here. Coconut pineapple is the real MVP of this entire lineup, because man, that thing is so good. I'm not really much of a fan of coconut on its own, nor pineapple on its own unless it's in frozen form. But you combine those things together and make it into sparkling water, and suddenly I am a massive fan. I don't know how they did it. It's a miracle, but it's beautiful. I haven't seen the classic lemonade. I haven't seen ginger lime. Coconut limeade, haven't seen that either. And I haven't seen lemon lime. I actually want to try this. Maybe it might be a healthier version of Sprite in some sort of way. But the coconut pineapple is fantastic. They put 2 things that I generally don't really like and made it good. So how can they not be my non-sponsor if they were able to pull off that miracle? Sheesh, it's almost like, imagine if somebody made a movie that was kind of like combining The Sandlot with some of these other movies that I haven't seen and making it into a movie I wanted to see. But look at that, they finally did it in sort of.
Sandlot is your coconut pineapple, Francisco.
Well, we'll see. All right, I'll see how I feel. I'll see how I feel.
Taking your weird stuff.
I'll see. So yeah, coconut pineapple is the best flavor. So yeah, sparkling ice, get it. It's cheap. It's good. It'll fill you up and just leave you wanting more at the same time. But I'm really satisfied with this, guys. I get, man, when I go to Publix, and sometimes people make like, there are days where they don't have the coconut pineapple, and I'm sad, and I'll have to go to my number 2, which is peach nectarine, which is fine. It's a good one too. But if I see coconut pineapple and they have that 5 for $5 deal, I get 5 of those and I hoard them so nobody else can buy them. And if you are particularly going to the Publix in Doral and you're looking for coconut pineapple and it's not there, it's because I bought them all.
Okay, Tony Khan over here.
Yeah. So promo code hatred. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would not expect or anticipate how that becomes the hatred, Mike.
Because they combined two things I don't really like and made it good. So yeah, hatred.
You can use fusion.
Yeah.
You can use nice surprise.
Nah. Okay. All right. So that's it for non-sponsors. We're done with that. Oh man, where do we go from here? So we talked about baseball.
Well, I have a question. I know how to transition this.
Ooh. Okay.
Because Andrew mentioned something in his non-sponsor, so I feel this is perfect for the weekly alternate ego Andrew or alter ego Andrew that we've created. Well, how do you say the backward names of Andrew? Rudre or something like that? I'll figure it out.
Bizarro Andrew.
Bizarro Andrew. Okay, so we'll just call him Bizarro Andrew for the time being, or Megars. Do you think Bizarro Andrew wears a Speedo when he goes to the beach? Because now this is just it. Not only is he just Grey Poupon in it, not only is he saying, oh, you don't have Pepsi, sneer away, not only is he saying oat crackling bad, honey bunches of oats is his favorite, but now we're saying full out Speedo.
Bizarro Andrew likes the second baseman. It likes the man on second starting the extra innings. That's Bizarro Andrew.
Bizarro Andrew. Yeah. He's the guy who has the extra,
Bizarro Andrew doesn't mind that
the size is visible.
Bizarro Andrew doesn't mind that the home team's name isn't on the home jerseys when they're playing at home, and instead it's the city name.
Sacrilegious.
Yeah. Bizarro Andrew doesn't want NHL teams to wear white at home. Hey.
We've made a meme, basically, in a podcast form of it. This is what happens when you got Andrew. We missed you when we had to create
I'm taking Andrew's sports pet peeves and flipping them. I feel like that's Bizarro Andrew. It's the
Bizarro
opposite.
Andrew is okay with being called the Central Florida University, or whatever it is that he hates.
Yeah, the University of Central Florida, or Central Florida, right? It's when they, instead of saying UCF, that's the rule. Bizarro Andrew doesn't consider 2017 to be a real national championship.
He's just happy to have the he believes the hardware what matters most. This man's dead ass silent, fuming and rage.
Oh, he's gonna get me when we play when we play MLB 22 the show. When that pops down, he's gonna be like, "Oh, it's gonna be 20-0 Francisco." He's been winning. Like he's good. We were playing home run derby. I suck at home run. I suck at everything actually with MLB 21 this show.
Get good.
It's
son.
not even the lag or the latency. It's just like I'm not good. But Andrew's a superstar in that, man. Well, at least you compete. Yeah, you're hitting 500-foot bombs. I haven't even hit a 500-foot home run.
Alternate ego Andrew wears his baseball gloves when he's playing the show against Bizarro Francisco.
That one got him chuckling.
Well, to answer your earlier question, not only do I not wear Speedos to the beach, I always wear a T-shirt.
Bizarro Andrew doesn't. Remember, it's the antithesis of things we know that you do.
I wear the long sleeve swim shirts. I like those. Those are nice and comfortable.
I'm not going to speak at all about what I do on the beach because I feel like we're going to be heavily judged here. Vanity is a sin and also an obsession, boys. I'm also going to try to go to the beach this week. I'm taking off Thursday and Friday because I'm capped out PTO, and it's going to rain because it always rains every time I go. But I hate going shirtless to the beach because I hate sunburn. I hate sunburn so much. I hate sunburn more than I hate Alex Cora, and I hate sunburn more than I hate Vince McMahon, boys. And that's some deep-rooted hatred for 20 plus years. Because I either come out looking like I have ethnic Latino in me, or I look like Larry the Lobster, just as jacked and just as red.
Well, I think we can kind of figure out something. Let me just go down the score crawl here on the bottom of the screen. So we got the Grizzlies are spanking the Pacers 81-51 right now. Dear Lord.
Poor Brandon. How must it feel to be covering a team that's in like not at its death, but soon to be dying?
Miles Turner made a Lego Titanic. I don't know if anybody saw that.
That is awesome.
Yeah. He's on that Lego grind right now. I think he's part of that culture right there.
Is it tough to forget that these are young men at like 23, 25? But they've been around the league for so long already.
It feels like, yeah. They're drafted at 18, 19 or whatever, and they're in the league for like 10 years. It's like, oh, they're only 26. I'm like, what? The Brooklyn Nets are spanking the Orlando Magic 86-58 right now. The Pistons are beating the Heat 45-40. Yeah, I know. It's that loss to Minnesota. The Suns are beating the Pelicans 26-25 right now. So, let me talk about my experience. We're in the NBA. Yeah.
You jinxed us. Please.
Sorry, guys.
You want to rub it in thy face?
So last week, was it Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday. So it was the day after the show last week. My boss was in town from Los Angeles, and nice day of work, and he surprised me, but like, hey, let's go. I bought tickets to the Miami Heat game. I'm taking you. I'm like, oh, cool. So we go. So I drive because, why not? I mean, it'd be nice. He bought the tickets. I might as well drive and park in that nightmare over there. I park like a few blocks away because I'm not parking anywhere near the arena. FTX Arena, not American Airlines Arena, is a nightmare to park at. But we're going up and we're trying to enter the building, and they're like, oh no, you can't go through here. You got to go through gate whatever. I'm like, what? I've never heard of that. So like gate whatever. So we go down to gate whatever, and it's like in its own little entrance. I'm like, wait, what's going on here? This looks like a place. None of these people look poor here, And we go, and it's like courtside seats, not courtside. The row behind courtside, but it was on the court because the court was right on my feet. I was touching actual hardwood floors there, so right behind behind basically the Phoenix Suns bench. And this is probably one of the best seats I've ever had at a sporting event, guys. When I sat behind the bench in the owner's seat of the Panthers game. So it's those two right there. And best seats I ever had at a sporting event. I got to thank, he should be my non-sponsor as well, my boss, for giving me, inviting me to the game. You could see me in the highlights of that game as well. I wore my red retro Alonzo Mourning jersey. I'm a few pixels. You can make me out at the very least. I had to wear a mask because we were near the players, so we had to wear masks. And I was wearing my black and red Florida Panthers hat as well. I got to rep the Cats.
Rep in South Florida all around.
Yeah, and so we were sitting there, of course, and the two guys that were sitting next to us on my right were probably the two most hilarious people I've ever heard in my life, because they were jawing at the Phoenix Suns bench all game. Diehard Heat fans, by the way, guys. Diehard Heat fans, but they were jawing with the Suns, and it was hilarious because they were having a good time. The Suns were definitely having a good time, especially that second half of that game. But the only thing that ruined the night, everybody, was my future husband Jimmy Butler didn't play.
Isn't that the worst?
Yeah. So
two things that are terrible when you go to a sporting event: the guy that you want to see or the guy that you want to see isn't playing, and your team loses.
Yeah.
There is no "we're just happy to be here" vibes here. You don't get to go to sporting events that often. We were driving where I put the radio on as we were making our way out to the game, and I'm hearing, hey, and Jimmy Butler was questionable for tonight, and then it became, Jimmy Butler's out. I'm like, come on, guys. Sheesh, I put on my best cologne. I was so ready to be near Jimmy. You got your eyebrows done.
Yeah, I got my job. Got my hair did. Got my nails polished. Like everything was ready to go.
Hair.
Yeah, I did. So I was ready to be near Jimmy, and he wasn't there. So that was unfortunate. The game was good up to the first half. The Heat were already down like 2 points or something like that. It was like 55-53 or something like that. And they were pretty dominant in that first quarter. Then Phoenix made their way like the last 5 minutes of that second quarter. But man, that third quarter was... I didn't realize the Suns were really good at defense. I haven't really been watching the Suns. I've been following Charles's lead that they're frauds. And
I mean, listen, number one record don't mean nothing.
So they are the number one team in the NBA, and they definitely showed it that night. But I have to say the seats were incredible. Watching a game in the NBA, man, those guys are massive because they walk right by you. Like I was right next to the tunnel that leads into their locker room, and those guys are huge.
Especially DeAndre Ayton, man.
Yeah, DeAndre Ayton was there. I like him. And they're just huge dudes. James Jones, I saw James Jones. He was there.
Did you talk smack to Devin Booker? Please tell me you talk smack to him.
You know I wouldn't. If he had invited you, Charles, I would have loved to have seen that.
Oh man, I would have. I would have called him a
Book
chipmunk.
Started the game off pretty slow, but then he was able to get his points. I think he got 20 points in that game by the end of it. But man, that second half, it was garbage time of the fourth quarter. They didn't call an obstruction or an interference penalty or foul on JaVale McGee when he grabbed Kyle Lowry's leg when they got tousled up. Nobody saw it. It wasn't on the cameras. But I was visibly upset, yelling at the refs. You didn't see it on the screen. I wish the camera had panned over because you would have seen me just absolutely livid at the refs. My boss was laughing at me. I'm like, yeah, what the hell, guys? You look at him. Like, oh, man. I wish this was hockey. Kyle Lowry would have at least punched him at the very least, or at least retro NBA pre-Malice at the Palace. I want some of that back.
I mean, JaVale McGee is a very big man, and Kyle Lowry is a very tiny man.
I understand that, but still.
We need Dwayne Dedmon to be like, I got my boy, and then that's a fair fight.
Dwayne Dedmon didn't have a great game. But UD's back there. We got the muscle back there.
He has that. We have to keep him strong with Parasalafas. You understand? He's season finale fight.
In case the Nuggets finally live up to actual potential to make the finals, really?
Yeah, exactly. That's how we're doing this. Because
the Suns are going to get
listen
upset
to the meme ability that we could profit. Okay, so hear me out real quick. If, hypothetically speaking, it is the Heat and the Nuggets, you know what we have to do with the Parasalafas shirt? We have to do an add-on of the Miami Heat logo of the ball and the sun thing.
Oh, like
to make it into an asteroid.
Yeah.
Just hear me out.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to license that off of us. The monies.
Oh man. So yeah, but great experience. 10 out of 10. I would recommend to everybody. The seats were like $1,000 each, so I can't say I'll be back there anytime soon. But if it was once in a lifetime, then so be it. Floyd Mayweather was there, by the way, too. He was the only.
Did you ask him why he didn't fight Pacquiao?
He was across the court. I couldn't get near him. You know, he was on the other side of the court. Just saying.
I do believe he would have beaten Manny. I'm just saying it right now. I'm one of the few people. But if you leave questions to your legacy, people ain't gonna have enough of it. It's just a damn shame.
Going on that, the NBA Heat are still in first place, so 2 games up in Milwaukee. Right, 2 games up in Milwaukee. Philly's behind them. Then 4 is Chicago. Boston is 41-28. Cleveland's 39-29. And then you had the play-in teams, Toronto, Brooklyn, Atlanta, Charlotte, although Brooklyn might be making a mad dash back to at least being the 6th seed because the Cavs have fallen off. I mean, they're 10 games above 500, but I don't know how long that is sustainable for them. And then the West, Phoenix number 1, then Memphis. And Golden State, Utah, Dallas, the Parasaurolophus in Denver. And then you got the play-in teams, Minnesota, the Clippers, the Lakers, LOL, who are 10 games under 500 right now, and then the Pelicans.
This is such trash. This is why the play-in doesn't work, just saying.
Yeah, well. So there's that. I do want the standings kind of remain where they are with the West because I would love to see the Clippers beat the Lakers in the play-in game. That would be fun to see. Then we've got the Boston Celtics. Ray Allen was invited back for the first time in a long time for Kevin Garnett's retirement ceremony, and they hugged it out, and it looks like the beef has been squashed.
But is it? Or is it just the pressure because the NBA 75?
I honestly think it was that. Think it was that. I feel like KG saw... I mean, people saw the reaction he had.
He looked like he was going to kill him, man.
Not giving dap to Ray Allen along with Paul Pierce. And it was such a nice experience. I'm sure MJ didn't go up to Isaiah, but those guys weren't teammates. You know, that was
they didn't win titles together.
That was true hatred. But I think KG looks at the situation with Scottie Pippen and MJ. Just think about it. Like, he's missing from there. He didn't have any sort of reason to not be there. Tim Duncan wasn't there, but I'm sure Tim Duncan has a reason for not being there. You know, Tim Duncan's kind of a aloof type of individual anyways. But
well, here can I defend Scottie for 2 seconds?
All right, go ahead.
He knows everybody from the 90s and leading to the 2000s that were fans of the Bulls weren't his fans. That they're frauds. That they didn't they didn't appreciate him. So to hell with them. I respect that level of petty because where's the lie?
But
because it was always Michael first, Phil second,
I don't know,
Scottie third.
I understand that, but I don't know. I feel like he needs to make peace with his place in life. His place isn't even that bad. It's not bad in life at all.
Being one of the best combo shooting guard small forwards out there.
Yeah, I mean, there are other players,
top 5,
other players from different eras and different sports that have realized that hey, I'm not the number one guy here. You know, those 90s Yankees teams, okay, an ensemble of great players, but when you line them up, Mariano, Derek, Jorge, Andy, and Bernie, like we all know who's number one in Yankees fans' eyes.
Well, it's an even 2. It's an even 2.
I don't think. Do you think it's an even 2 between Jeter and Mariano?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. Even though Jeter's still a 300 batting average in the playoffs, the thing is Mariano was there to close out everyone. I think the only things that he screwed up on was Marlins and Zona.
Yeah.
Because we have seen fantastic teams.
I don't think Mariano blew anything against the Marlins because I don't think they even give him a chance to close anything against the Marlins. But Game 7 of 01 is his only real blemish. And even then, the game was tied. It wasn't like he blew the save. It was just he couldn't maintain the tie.
But also, you know what the thing is to kind of make it merit to Scottie is that what is a playoff hero? You know, we're talking about the Aaron Boone bomb heard around the world that leads you to the World Series. People remember that. You can't recall any of what Scottie did, even though he foundationally built and established that team to get you to those 6 championship wins. Whereas we remember Michael Jordan's, flu game. So I get it. I understand.
Okay.
But Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett, the thing is that
I feel like they buried the hatchet. I feel that was strong.
The beef itself should always be with Danny Ainge because he was the one dangling Ray Allen like trade bait every season.
And maybe
he was like, they don't work with Rondo, so this got to go. And then he left LeBron. Of course, he was going to leave to LeBron. He wanted to go out on top, and he did.
Yeah. Okay. So there's that, but I'm glad it happened. NBA is really based on the personalities in the game, and it did feel wrong that they were shunning Ray Allen of all people. I mean, like Ray Allen. Like this is a Hall of Famer, or important to that big three. Like they don't do it without him, especially was it his game 4 of that finals that they finally won. Like and he went off, so they really don't do it without him, and because I mean, you think about those guys, and okay, Rajon and Perk maybe on the second tier there, and then you got Glenn Big Baby Davis, who can't even get courtside seats, unlike me, you know.
Poor Big Baby.
Yeah, get the hell out of my chair. All right, so that's the NBA. That's where it stands right now. The league. We're about. I think they've got like. I think we're like 2 weeks away from the season ending. So,
yeah, I mean, there were 16 games last week, so there's probably about 10 games, 12 games left out.
Three weeks away, let's say.
Is Ben Simmons going to play? Is he even going to touch that ball?
I feel like
at all leading to the playoffs.
I feel like
because everybody was blowing up the whole return to Philly when Simmons wasn't even playing. It was a big old blowout.
So
like,
let's
y'all got your panties in a bunch on that one.
Remaining schedule for, let's say, they got 5 games. And I feel like that's how many games he would actually play, is like 5 games. 5 games in April. You have Atlanta, Houston. That's definitely a, hey, let's see how you do type of game. Yeah. New York, Cleveland, and then Indiana is their final game.
So everything is a tryout game series.
Yeah.
Because the only one that you could possibly see there as a challenge would be Cleveland.
Because right now,
might even link up in the play-in.
Because right now their March schedule has some tough matchups. You got Dallas. You got Utah, Memphis, Miami, and Milwaukee. So, unless you want one game to see what he's made of, but I wouldn't bring him out against any of those teams. The only scrubs that you can have him against is Portland, Charlotte, and Detroit at the end of the month. So I feel like an Atlanta game or especially that Houston game would probably be it's at Barclays. Like that feels like a hey, welcome back type of game.
Mm-hmm.
So
but he's got to get it in, man, because the play-in series is too important to be trying to guy who's.
But I don't think they're going to play in the play-in series. I
are
feel
they
like
7 or 8?
I mean, unless they really like stumble against those teams that I mentioned that are actually good. But I feel like if they go a little bit above 500, they'll maybe capture.
But you know what the issue?
Unless Cleveland goes off.
But we're forgetting a fundamental fact about the play-in, though.
Mm-hmm.
Kyrie. I don't know what games Kyrie's playing or not, so that's why I'm putting the factor of the play-in.
Well, it's kind of the whole thing where if it's Toronto and for some reason Brooklyn, let's say 8-9, there could be a possibility that he doesn't play at all. Because he's not playing in Canada for sure. So
what shit, man.
That would be funny.
We're not going against personal opinions, but we've been attacking Kyrie a little bit, and this is the situation that was the problem that we talked about.
Once again, I just see it as very funny.
I was an idiot.
I just find it very funny.
We've talked about him for, 3 years? We hearken to his dedication to using the thing as a platform, but damn it, do you feel that he could have used the platform better? Because this vaccine stance is now, look at what we just did. If you care about the team and this franchise, the city, now you just got your ass beat. There's plenty of people who don't have the $1 billion jobs and that you have a contract that we're forced to get vaccinated, and we don't have third eyes. It's okay.
Okay, so that is pretty much any more NBA headlines because talk about hockey.
Nothing,
all right, so hockey. So hockey scores right now. So Toronto is up 2-0 on Dallas. Boo. Arizona's up 5-3 on Montreal. That is a tank bowl matchup right now between those two teams. Those are the 2 worst teams in the NHL. Anaheim and New York, end of second, they're tied 2-2. The Rangers, I meant. The Islanders are beating the Capitals 2-1. The Predators are up 1-0 versus Pittsburgh. Winnipeg is up 2-0 on Vegas. And the Bruins and Blackhawks are just starting their game in Chicago. And then later on tonight, we got Edmonton versus Detroit, New Jersey versus Vancouver, and Colorado versus Los Angeles. Standings right now, Atlantic Division, the Panthers are still first place, 4 points ahead of Tampa, and 7 points ahead of Toronto, who continuously are embarrassing themselves, and their fan base is also embarrassing themselves. They played the Heritage Classic over the weekend, which is the outdoor game played in Canada every other year. It was played in Hamilton, Ontario this time, so outside of Toronto, over at the CFL stadium over there. And the Leafs got their ass handed to them by the Buffalo Sabres, which is really funny to see. I'm really happy about that. So the Leafs making a big, grandiose event, basically the Tim Hortons Cup, because Tim Horton actually played for both of those franchises before he unfortunately died. And yeah, the Leafs got their ass handed to them. So it's always fun seeing Leafs fans suffer.
I have a question. Is Tim Horton, the player, also in relation to Tim Horton, the food franchise?
He started the company.
Yes.
I did not know that. Because I know the memes where there's a lawyer in Canada and the judge's like, what should I do the sentencing? And the attorney's like, Judge, Tim's? And they go to Tim Hortons. But I did not know that.
Indeed. There you go. And of course, you've watched Letterkenny, Charles. You got watch some more hockey. You'll get some more of these references. Because I'm watching that show. I'm like on season 3. I think I'm getting to season 4. And
I feel like I've learned so much just because of Riley and Jonesy.
Yeah. You know what Chell means? You know what? Yeah. All right. Good.
Ferda.
I
know what a Donnybrook is.
Yeah. I love the hockey coach.
Swiping Sally, boys.
I love their hockey coach. Who's
coach?
Yeah, coach.
My dead wife Barb.
He's fucking embarrassing.
You peasants.
And the hockey players as well, and the way they speak to each other.
Oh, Shorzy. All I gotta say about that.
Pussy. And then he moves on to the next guy. Boomtown. And Boomtown's like the one that actually speaks about real life and his feelings. Okay. Metropolitan Division, Carolina is first place, 87 points ahead of Pittsburgh. They're 6 points up on the Pens. The Rangers are 79 points. And then you got the 2 wildcard teams. Boston's at 77 points and Washington's at 74. And this is basically the playoff teams at this point, because there is a clear drop-off between the Caps and the next closest team, which is the Columbus Blue Jackets, which is strange to see. Usually there's some more parity in this league where it's like, okay, the second wildcard team is fighting for that spot, but it doesn't seem like it this season. It's truly, we have 8 teams. We know who they are. And unless the Jackets go on a massive run with 22 games left, or the Caps fall apart, which would be fun to see for me, from a geopolitical perspective, then yes, that would be fun. But it seems like these are the teams. This is Florida, Tampa, Toronto, Carolina, Pittsburgh, New York, Boston, and Washington. And we'll see. And the seeds, well, we'll see. We'll see who wins the divisions. But it's looking like Carolina's going to take the Metro the way they're playing. And the Panthers are hanging on for dear life to get those douches from Tampa to... Man, why can't you guys just suck again? Huh? Andrew, why can't you just suck? You've won 2 already. Why do you need 3? All right? Trying to be like trying to be like the Oilers and the Islanders, and the Habs. Okay. Western Conference. The Avs are clearly the best team in the West, like by far. They're the best team in the West, and man, if this isn't the year for them to win the Western Conference, then I don't know when is, because yikes, they are good. Their division, they're way up on St. Louis with 76 points. Minnesota's got 72. They're the 3rd seed in their division. Pacific, you got Calgary in first place. The Los Angeles Kings have resurrected. They're in 2nd place, 5 points behind them. And then the Edmonton Oilers are there. They're figuring out a way to stay relevant and things like that, but there's always a possibility they could fall off, because they are on that teetering brink right there. Because first wild card is Nashville. They got 72 points, kind of a small but all right cushion ahead of the Vegas Golden Knights, who have 68 points. And as the aforementioned, I talked about Edmonton, they're flip-flopping between the Golden Knights and them in that 3rd seed. And then right behind there's no drop off. You got the Dallas Stars, who are a point behind those two teams with 68. They got 67 points. Vancouver is still in the running with 65 points. Winnipeg has 64. Anaheim's got 64. And really, that's probably it. The Sharks are 1 point above 500, but I don't see them competing for anything. Chicago is not a good team, and Arizona and Seattle are terrible. And the Montreal Canadiens are the worst team in the league. They've got 40 points, so I always like seeing who's the worst team in the league. And that's what's going on in hockey. We've got, as far as any other news, there are trades happening. We've got the trade deadline. Let's see. I'm trying to. I guess the big thing for this season was because it ended. It ended today, or no, it's ending on Monday. So at 3:00. The big star that is out there is Claude Giroux of the Philadelphia Flyers, and there are a lot of teams in the running to try and get him, feeling that he would put them over the top, and it would give him at least one more shot at a Stanley Cup, because he had a shot in 2010 when they lost to Chicago, and he's now on the other end of his career, and this might be one of his last shots if he doesn't move to a actual good franchise. So the Panthers are in the running. I heard the Avalanche are also in the running. Yikes, they don't need much more help, but yeah, that's what's going down. So next week we'll have actual concrete stuff with regards to the trade deadline. I think the Panthers are looking for a little more help on defense, but having Giroux there to kind of put them over the top with the offense, because they have the best offense in the league, maybe you can make up for the lack of defense and still somewhat shaky goaltending. But Sergei Bobrovsky has done better, and Spencer Knight is doing fine as a rookie, and he's getting more work because we keep sending him down to the AHL to get some work. But yeah, and then we'll see. But next week I'll have more concrete stuff on the trade deadline when we have everything go down. Anything else, guys?
Before we move on to what I assume will be the cage, I wanted to add something in. The women's college hockey playoffs has begun. I just wanted to tell you the thoughts of our dear buddy BU. He gave me a little bit of the rundown of what's going on. I'm just going to quote him verbatim here. So the tournament expanded to 11 teams for some reason. It's been well received because it created competitive matchups in the octo and quarterfinals, with Syracuse pressuring Quinnipiac for half the game before the Bobcats finally pulled away. Clarkson and Wisconsin remaining close late in the game, and two quarterfinals going to OT, with number one OSU needing 2 overtimes to escape Quinnipiac. The main criticisms are, A, that the NCAA only expanded to 11 rather than 12, forcing a rematch of the ECAC title game in the quarterfinals, because Colgate and Yale were 4 and 5 overall. B, OSU's ice arena has been criticized for its use as a host site due to not having adequate facilities. In their octo final game,
I wonder what that means with regards to adequate facilities.
So I think it's the round before the quarterfinals.
No, I was talking about like the adequate facilities of Ohio State.
Well, it says Quinnipiac had to use a locker room in the attached field house.
Okay.
Because OSU only has 2 locker rooms.
Okay. All right. So a building is not. Yeah. Okay.
So I posed the question, why did they only expand to 11? And he said, because the NCAA basically hates running this tournament and always done the bare minimum. They hid behind expanding to 11 based on it being proportionally equal to the men's tournament, ignoring there's multiple teams adding men or women's programs in the near future. In any event, as for the Frozen Four itself, so they've reached to the Final Four, the Frozen Four.
I've got the bracket up here.
And is the case in most NCAA tournaments, for that matter.
So I've got the journey here. So Quinnipiac.
You said should clarify that top 4 overall teams automatically host the games. That has been the case in past tournaments. The case is most NCAA tournaments, for that matter. From the chat.
So Quinnipiac beat Syracuse 4-0 to move on to face Ohio State. Ohio State beat them 4-3. So they went to the Frozen Four. Yale beat Colgate 2-1 to get to the Frozen Four. Wisconsin beat Clarkson 3-1. Then they went on to lose to Northeastern 4-2. And so Northeastern went to the Frozen Four. And then Minnesota Duluth beat Harvard 4-0. And then, wow, they beat the Golden Gophers. They must be salty out in Minneapolis after that one. So Duluth beat Minnesota 2-1, and now they got the Frozen Four, Andrew.
So Frozen Four, we've got OSU versus Yale, and Northeastern versus Minnesota Duluth. If Northeastern takes down UMD, we're guaranteed to have a first-time champion, since UMD is the only past winner left. Of course, all 4 past champions made the tournament, only to end up on the same side of the bracket. So Minnesota and Clarkson were both knocked out by the other. Just to clarify, this is Minnesota Twin Cities, which is the Golden Gophers, not UMD, which is Minnesota Duluth, which is the Bulldogs. 2 different schools. Minnesota and Clarkson were both knocked out by the other 2 past winners, but Northeastern managed to exact revenge in the rematch of last year's title game to leave UMD as the last team standing from that group. I'd say OSU and Northeastern are favored to make the title game of the teams remaining. Northeastern is the most complete team remaining, in my opinion, and has also benefited greatly from COVID bonus eligibility to hang on to some of their best players. However, Ohio State did emerge as the winner from the WCHA, which is considered the best conference in women's hockey. And while they did need 2 OT to beat Quinnipiac, the Bobcats, that's Quinnipiac, were helped out by their grad transfer goalie Corinne Schroeder standing on her head, which, as a Boston University fan, that's not unexpected considering how often she bailed us out when she was here. I don't really know enough about UMD to say much about them, but they are kind of hit and miss and have been for the last few seasons, tending to finish in the middle of the WCHA. Yale seems to have gotten better despite taking last year off. But despite having the most teams in this year's tournament, the ECAC as a whole has been a clusterfuck. Yale did finish as the second best team in the regular season in the ACAC and ended up hosting the finals of the ECAC women's tournament after Harvard was eliminated in the quarterfinals, only to lose to Colgate, who they then beat this past Saturday. So shrug emoji.
Look, you described the shrug emoji.
Well, he sent it.
I know.
He sent the shrug emoji.
So that's the only way to know that. But okay. Has the men's tournament started?
No. According to him, the conference tournaments are still running.
I see. Here we are.
And I believe he said selection show is this Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be interesting to watch. BU, while we have you, do you have any kind of predictions of who's gonna make it as?
So we got
not
some
the automatic
games here.
qualifiers, but as the at-larges. I'd be curious to get his opinion on that.
So I'm just showing the scores here. Man, how do you pronounce that? Rensselaer? I don't know. I've never even.
Well, let me see. I'm looking.
Yeah, because I got Colgate. Colgate beat Cornell 2-1.
Rensselaer.
Rensselaer. Okay. RIT, which I'm assuming is what, Rhode Island Tech, beat Sacred Heart 3-1.
Rhode Island. No. Rochester Institute of Technology.
Rochester. Okay. So they're in New York. Okay, Rochester Tech. All right.
I know my stuff, BU. I know my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I pronounced that and said that before you wrote that for the record. So
you should have me try to butcher it.
Well,
I'd be like Rensselaer. Say that 5 times fast, some kind of like demon comes out.
Okay. All right. Let's see. We're at an hour 55.
Well, before we go to the cage, I feel there's something we should talk about.
What are we missing?
I mean, it's going to be very brief, but it's the ultimate FU to all things.
Oh, yeah! The huge unretirement announcement. Forgot about that. Yeah. I guess everybody else is talking about it. We might also chime in here. And I've had the word for non-sponsors thing up for like the entire time. What am I doing here? What am I doing, guys? Anyways, yeah. So Tom Brady's back. I mean,
love it.
He never really left. No, I mean, but the memes that have come out of it have been funny. That's for sure.
Exactly.
So we're gonna head on over to Twitter once more. But yeah, Tom Brady is coming back to Andrew's beloved Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's been a Bucs
one
fan
more season, Andrew.
Yeah. And they're gonna run it back once more and see if he can get one more. But the memes that have come out of it have been great because the whole thing with Tom Brady and his kids and being a family man and all that stuff has kind of been great. And I like the memes here. Brady, after his kids accidentally changed the channel for the 5th time, him walking out. Got Jalen Waddle being drafted here. Tom Brady spent 2 months with his wife and kids and said, "Fuck this." Tom Brady met his kids and his wife for the first time and said, "Fuck that." Tom Brady was home for 3 weeks with his kids and he was like, "Nope." Tom Brady spent 2 months with his children and decided he'd rather be hit by 300-pound linemen, and I think that tells me everything I need to know about having kids. Tom Brady had enough of yelling, "If Johnny had 7 apples," while helping his kid with math homework.
I feel like Tom just didn't want to retire the same season Big Ben did, because I do feel there's that ego to play.
I like this woman's perspective. I'm seeing a lot of Tom Brady was sick with his wife and kids tweets. Maybe Giselle saw him try out annoying new hobbies for 3 months while attempting to rediscover his life's purpose, and she told him to get his ass back on the football field.
There you go.
I mean, I love the jokes, and obviously I'll never be able to read his mind, but I wanted to give my, accurate take, what I think is actually going on. I think that if you go into the off season, that you're going back into it. So there's kind of that mindset that you're not really taking the time off. Let's say you get to the playoffs, you're playing through January, February, March. When does summer camp, I guess? When do OTAs, whatever the hell they call it?
Training camp around July, leading into August.
So it starts July, February, March, April, May, June, July. So you have 6 months. And although in reality, you really don't, because you kind of have to keep yourself in some sort of shape. But I think with Tom, if he's thinking, I'm done, so he has the clear mindset that I'm not going back to this. I mean, it's kind of like Gus Malzahn. When he was fired by Auburn last season, or 2 seasons ago, after the 2020 season, he said, I'm done coaching for a while. I'm going to spend a few years, taking it easy, relaxing, maybe do a television gig during the season, but I'm going to take it easy for once. I've been coaching nonstops for the past 20 years. But then it kind of, after taking, a couple of months off, he gets that itch that, maybe I'm not done yet. So Brady takes those 30 days, or what, 40, was it 44 days?
Yeah, it was close to like 2 months, but more like 4 or 5 weeks.
It's like 4 or 5 weeks where his mind is truly clear for once since high school, really. Not even, because you're playing nonstop for 30 plus years when you go all the way back to high school. So finally he gets to take a break for 44 days. And it kind of, he gets some sort of a clarity that I just needed some time legitimately off, just to completely turn off, tune out, just relax. He gets those 44 days and he realizes, I just needed a break for a little bit. I'm not done yet. So I think that's what happened to him. I think also the fact that he left without, going out on top, I think that probably nagged at him a little bit. But I don't know. That's just my interpretation.
His numbers were just fantastic last year, where it's debatable that he could have been MVP instead of certain man who just got paid 3 years, $150 million guaranteed, even though Cooper Kupp was my MVP. But if you're going to go out going on top, and if his whole purpose of a contract was he signed like I think a 2-year extension last year, you go one more, and that's fine because the talent is so there with everybody. Not only did they tag Chris Godwin, they re-signed Carlton Davis, Ali Marpet retired, but they got in Russell Gage, who was the leading receiver from the Atlanta Falcons. So I don't know what they're doing in Atlanta. Just take Matt Ryan in the back and just Ogeller him if you just don't want to sign anybody for him. My God. But this is the striking position because there's really nobody I see that could be as dominant in the NFC. And I think a certain Twitter person said, "Oh, market the Buccaneers won't go to the playoffs, but they will go to the playoffs." Andrew, with Brady back into it, it's just such a good team. But go ahead and come back because his level of play at 45, 46 was vastly superior than the other quarterback that he retired supposedly at the same season with Big Ben, who was a walking shell, husk of a human being playing quarterback.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like he also probably wanted that real retirement tour. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where you get the presents and all that stuff. That's what he wants to.
Let him get it.
Yeah, let him announce, hey, this is truly my last year. So all the teams that I'm visiting, y'all can find your unique presents to give to me. That's what
let him have his flowers.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So that's the 2-hour mark. So you know what that means. And man, this is gonna get. This feels like this is gonna be a bit of a bummer to start out. But Charles, you are the master of these ceremonies with regards to the cage. So let's head on over there.
Hey yo. Welcome everybody to your weekly Truplex the Cage with Charles. Remember, wrestling is not fake, it is scripted. It's a stage fight, it's a song and dance. It's about champions, establishing their legacies, continuing the furtherance of their championships. It's about men and women beating the holy hell out of each other, establishing their legacies, chasing titles, chasing championships, beating the holy crap out of each other. We can't orchestrate enough about that. It is a soap opera, it is a ballet, it is also very real. And very, 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 very humbling to a degree. And it is also, we hate Vince McMahon. That's our common core factor. But we love and we appreciate the people that are in there. So this is going to be a little bit of a different show, different segments. You guys don't need to worry about what's going on at AEW and WWE and, New Japan Cup still going on. Third round qualifiers. I'll make my prediction now because I haven't done that a bit. It's going to be Zack Sabre who wins that one. Let's see what happens there. Impact. Know that I'm watching Impact for all of you, so you don't have to. No, Impact's actually been pretty decent, but it's kind of tough. WWE building up to the road to WrestleMania. I am super, super, super ready for AJ Edge. Let's go into the harmony and the fun stuff, guys. Edge has changed his theme music, Andrew. No longer is You Think You Know Me, and then we get Metalingus by Alter Bridge kicking in. anything like that, it goes, dan, dan, dan. Now he is Mr. Blue Man with the light in the background. He turned heel a couple weeks ago with, doing the concerto. You're 5 steps ahead, Francisco. Do that. Concerto on AJ Styles. That's the WrestleMania match that I care about. I only care about 2 matches right now. Now I'm fully invested in maybe the stories for the other ones will develop, but I am all for Brock and Roman if we're going to get that Hell in a Cell match, and I'm all for AJ Edge. And it feels like it's not going to be a one-time match. We're going to lead to SummerSlam. We're going to change the factors, but I've sent you guys some of the promos. I'm super excited for it. Sami Zayn's doing fantastic work. He's shooting with Johnny Knoxville, and we might even get a enjoyable match out of it. Some people hate WrestleMania because of the fact that there's no real wrestling in it. It's more sports entertainment, but it's been like that since the beginning of WrestleMania. Mr. T was on WrestleMania. You have the actor who plays Zeus in Over the Top. Was it Over the Top? I think so. Hulk Hogan's movie in there. You have Muhammad Ali was a special guest star. You had Cyndi Lauper. You have Jake Logan or Logan Paul or whatever those guys are. I don't care much about them. You had Mike Tyson in it. There's always some kind of big entertainment because this is WrestleMania, so you need to have that sports entertainment. We got Stone Cold Steve Austin maybe coming out to go against Kevin Owens. I'm for that. It's not going to be a match, so that's why I'm not highlighting it as something to be of pure greatness. But Owens is kind of doing some of his best work, and he also kind of lifted on a very, very heavy day. But wrestling's been tough on the cage. The cage is structurally weak because let's start with last Friday. We talk about wrestling is real, right? And you know how people say, oh, it's all fake. What would you say about a man who's almost 300 pounds landing straight on his neck, on his head? Because that's what happened Friday to our boy Big E. Not Big E, not Mr. Power Positivity, Charles, that you love so much, who has his theme song by Wale, the former WWE champion, who didn't get a fair run into it, multi-time tag champion, longest record breaking with the New Day for the tag teams, former Intercontinental champion. Not that Big E, who's also NXT champion. Yeah, that Big E. He had a match with Ridge Holland with the debuting Pete Dunne, who's now renamed as Butch.
I'm not showing it on the video version of the show because
it's kind of rough. It is. It's not squeak. I don't know. I see like photographs that people cut up. So what do I know? But it's pretty graphic.
Mm-hmm.
First off, I hate Vince McMahon because Pete Dunne, who we love, he's over in NXT. He gets called up to the main roster, and they renamed him Butch. So he's teamed up with Ridge Holland and Sheamus. So I think Vince watched an episode of Peaky Blinders. He looked at Ridge Holland, he's like, huh. He looks at Sheamus, he's like, huh. And he sees Pete Dunne, he's like, you're British. He's like, yes, I'm British. He's like, where are you from? Liverpool, or whatever. I don't know where Pete Dunne's from. Sorry, Pete Dunne. And he just goes and says, you remember me? I was in your Survivor Series match against Adam Cole, baby, for the NXT Championship. And Vince's like, no, but I've seen an episode of Peaky Blinders. And I can see Vince pointing at Pete Dunne going, your name is Butch. And he's like, but my name is Pete Dunne. Your name is Butch, and you like it. And then he just has to accept it because he signed that contract. So in this match, it's Big E teaming up with everybody, and it's against Ridge Holland. So they're on the outside. Ridge Holland does a belly-to-belly overflip on him, and Big E doesn't land on his back. He lands straight on his noggin. So here's the thing about power moves. Power moves are fantastic when it's someone who's like 300 pounds, like Ridge Holland, that's lifting someone who's like my weight at like 154. Maybe 155 after eating that Wendy's, right? But when Big E is like 300 pounds, gravity is a bitch. Gravity is a pain. And then the body, you could be powerlifting it. I can deadlift 300. I've done it. I can't lift 300 pounds over my head. I'm going to get hurt. The person behind me is going to get hurt. And unfortunately for Big E, he got hurt. And I'm not going to try to blame Ridge Holland. There's a lot of people who is blaming Ridge Holland. It's not a move that necessarily I think a lot of people could pull off. It's just one of those things where we need to question whoever's producing the matches if there's a comfort level about bellying somebody over the head when they're 300 pounds being lifted over versus someone who's my weight. So because neck injury is devastating. Yes, you have some people that have, for every Stone Cold Steve Austin who got a neck injury, came back and did it, there's a Darren Drozdov, who for Droz, who's also known as Puke, broke his neck and became a quadriplegic because of running powerbomb from D'Lo Brown. And that was just it. And Stone Cold Steve Austin broke his neck by Owen Hart in, doing the sitting down pile driver that really busted up. It's risky, it's dangerous, could have been avoided, sure. It's not on Ridge Holland's fault at all, but really maybe we have to kind of eliminate some logic in here, unless you're like Brock Lesnar, who I think could lift, Atlas over his body. So there's that. And then we're gonna hit some of the sad stuff, right? We're ready for this. We have to ready for this because you gotta help out. So you heard me say, "Hey yo," what does that mean? For anybody who watched wrestling, who watched WCW, "Hey yo" is Scott Hall, Razor Ramon. So Razor Ramon's dead. Scott Hall's dead. That's how I'm gonna open this up. He had surgery on his hip, I believe. There came some blood clots. He had triple heart attacks, and then was on life support. They took him off life support, and he died like yesterday. Who knows when he died, but they had confirmation that he died. So it's kind of like a spur of the moment thing. So I'm just gonna give the highlights. I don't know how to approach it. It's kind of like the Brody death, but the Brody death like came sudden, but I had like 4 days to prep out, and we know I was a mess. But I'm just gonna talk to you about what I remember and what made me a fan of Scott Hall and Razor Ramon. So coming into it, I can give you the whole Wikipedia thing, but I'm sure you're going to get that everywhere. You're going to get it from ESPN, which even promoted it. So that's some big stuff, right? You go on Wrestling Inc. and Wrestle News and all that other stuff to kind of find out. But he comes in as Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, normal white looking guy, right? Razor Ramon, this Miami Latino Cubano coming in here with the accent. I think I sent you guys his first initial promo. Don't you know about Reza Ramon? Good dreams, good chica, stuff like that with the toothpick. Man is the pure definition of swag. So when we thought about swag, it's not just a bounty from a pirate. It was something that was coined in a cool phrase like, the late 2000s, right, guys? Charisma, personality. That man oozed it just coming in his appearance. Fly chains, greasy hair, the toothpick, the bad guy, the seminal bad guy, walking in with his arms raised out, really just machismo and cool. And it was awesome, man. Like anybody, if Mr. Perfect had the gun swap when he sat down and swiped it, Kurt Hennig, Scott Hall had the toothpick and he flick it at you. Everybody loved him, and the Twitter memes have been hysterical. The Twitter posts have been hysterical about him. It's like he's the non-Latino that really Latino accept him into the culture, just what he was based off of. But it really kind of hit into it. I think Scott Hall had one of the coolest finishers I've ever seen, which is the Razor's Edge. So it's a crucifix bomb. So he gets you in the power bomb position, but instead of just having his head between your legs and slamming you down, he arcs you on his back like a cross and just slams you down. So he was Razor Ramon, 4-time Intercontinental Champion, had the first ladder match of WrestleMania 10 against Shawn Michaels, which made both their careers. I was trying to watch that last night, but then I was watching Owen Hart and Bret Hart at WrestleMania 10, and that was just so fantastic that, I had to do it. Plus, also, there was the hour-and-a-half dilemma of buying an OLED television. That's how we'll end the show in my conversation. But look at this man. He looked the type of what a world champion should be. And ironically, he never was a world champion. He was an Intercontinental Champion in WCW. He was also a U.S. champion, television champion, but never got the main title out of it. But he had some fantastic matches when he was in the WWF against the 1-2-3 Kid, who is X-Pac, 6, whatever they call him now, Sean Waltman, HBK, Bret Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin when he came back. That was okay at the WrestleMania match. And the man sold the stunner better than The Rock did. And that's his time in WWF. I remember him most because I got into wrestling in 1997. I remember him the most in the NWO, the New World Order. And you boys know I love me some NWO. I have a black and red NWO shirt for the Wolfpack, for the Outsiders, him and Kevin Nash. And then I have the black and white, the original NWO, and he was the OG. The reason why Scott Hall means so much now to the wrestling world, how people are just jumping ship to AEW or WWE and they're doing it for the paycheck? It's because Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were the ones who were able to get the first big paycheck after leaving WWF. Why does this matter? So when WCW, before billionaire Ted, had bought out NWA, Vince was buying up the territories. Wrestling used to be broken off into territories, guys. It was the NWA Mid-Atlantic. It was the NWA Northeastern, National Wrestling Alliance, for those who want to know what acronyms are. So Scott and Kevin, their contracts going up. Ted Turner's like, hey, boys, come over here and we'll pay you millions of dollars. And one of the things that they were getting was guaranteed downside contracts. What are downside contracts? In the event of XYZ, you're going to get this guaranteed amount. Because what's been the thing that has been controversial the last 3 years? Are they independent performers, right? So Scott was the first one to go to WCW. He came into the invasion. He showed up on Monday Night Nitro, still with his Razor Ramon accent, making it seem like you want a war, well, it's coming for you. And then he formulated with Kevin Nash to make the Outsiders, and they showed up at Bash at the Beach with the Hulk Hogan turn to create the New World Order, the NWO 444 Life. And if you ain't NWO, you're nothing. Scott was the big proponent of it. He had the hey yo after every single thing that he was doing. He had the survey says when he was coming out there for Thunder. He one time for the bad guy, or my favorite one is he would say I'm the bad guy, but he would give one time for the good guys. It sucks. He was 63. There was a lot of trauma that came into it. Scott Hall killed a guy, right? I'm going to say that right now. How you view what I say may cause some controversy, but there's a fantastic 30 for 30 that I encourage people to watch of how he dealt with that. He had his hardships and his trials and addictions to alcohol and other things because of that. With that backstory, I don't want to propaganda it, but there was a bar fight, some guy brought out a gun in self-defense, came into it, and he was cleared of those charges. But there's a lot of trauma, and that's the thing that what I appreciate from Scott Hall is that even though they're playing imaginary characters or scripted characters to make, they are human beings. They're connected. They're not carnies to a degree. Wrestling, in a sense, is a carny program. As I talked to you guys, the same thing of how I told you about Brody and how I give this whole long gestating thing about it is that about what his struggle was coming into it to be a wrestler and to enjoy people. Maybe, whatever it was for Scott Hall is maybe, I would imagine, this is speculation, so for anybody who was thinking I'm trying to put into a dead man shoes, I'm not, but I'm thinking that to go and perform for people, doing for the fans, and to feel love and reflect into the community must be very fulfilling, rewarding when you've had actual legitimate trauma done to you for actions that might not have been of your own fault, right? So that's a humanistic standpoint. But I remember just being that kid, 1997, coming into wrestling, because I went from New York to, Polk County, Florida. So, the hillbilliness was coming to me real quick. Like, Venom on Spider-Man, I was like, all right. But, there was a guy there. It was him with the toothpick, and we're doing this, and we're going to go one time for the bad guy, right? One time for the good guys. NWO for life, do the signs for the 2 sweet signs. My paralegal's been messed up. I told you guys little meme or little group chat that I sent in that I told my paralegal to come with me to court and play Razor Ramon's theme song. It sucks. It tells you a few things. And like I did with Brody, I'm gonna kind of do a reminder. We're going to get a little real here for a second. Because in life, you ain't got anything guaranteed. You can have it today, gone tomorrow, in that sense. And the few things to kind of remember, I'm going to steal from Scott Hall's Hall of Fame speech, because he was inducted twice, once the NWO and one as Razor Ramon, is that, to really make it a bridge, dreams do come true, work on all that stuff, but, bad times don't last forever, but bad guys do, because he's the bad guy. And I would kind of tell people is that if life's short, enjoy, experience, go from there. Things matter, right? Eat that kind of food. Tell that guy or girl that they matter and they're important to you, because you never know when you can say that to that person again. And then more importantly, buy that OLED television, because, hey, when you die, you can't get buried with possessions. So don't be like me, who sticks around and stares at something for an hour and a half and wondering if you should do it, because sometimes
for 3 years
you have to go for 2 years. But you know what, man? Sometimes you need time to grow and acknowledge when it's time to go for something. That matters too, as as it is. So, one more for the good guy, Scott Hall.
All right. Okay, so that's it for us this episode, everybody. So thanks for listening, and I think we'll see you next week. This is episode number 11 of normally 12 that we do, so I'm assuming next week will be the last one before we take our normal break. Okay, guys? We good with that?
Sounds good to me.
All right. So, yeah. So, see you, everybody. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Take care.
Foul ball. It's all loaded up. Pickoff throw to third.